What's going on, YouTube? Back with the Civic, and today I'm getting a set of tires I ordered installed. Here's a sneak peek. Nothing special, but getting rid of these things, and they might look like decent tires, but they're not. This camera is being pretty nice on how they look, but if you look real hard, these things are dry rotted pretty bad. I got an appointment in about 20 to 15 minutes, so I'm gonna try to bring you guys with and show you a little bit of that process. But if I don't show anything, it's only because I don't want to get somebody upset with the camera. So I'll be back and show you guys the result. I just wanted to show you guys a little sound clip of what this car sounds like with these tires. You can hear these tires pretty bad. I think they're pretty hard, and hopefully it sounds a little better when I drive around with the new tires. But yeah, guys, never mind this hole over here. I was getting tired of that radio. All right, there she is. That's where I came. Bell Tire. You guys hear that? Nothing. What a difference tires make. This thing is so quiet now. Smooth. One thing I do notice is that it needs shocks for sure. But yeah, I'll show you guys what the tires look like when I get home, and I don't think it looks bad, but yeah, I'll be back in a little bit. New tires are on, and these are the Hankook, let's see here, Ventus, the V2s, Concept, and these are 195, 55, 15s, but these are directional tires. And yeah, the guy that was working on this car, changing the tires, it must have been his first day, because he was struggling. And not only that, so as I mentioned, these are directional tires. So I drove here and got out of the car, and I thought to myself, man, that was one newbie kid working on my car. So I go to look at this side, and then noticed the direction of the tread is going the wrong way. So the direction of this tire mounted on that rim is incorrect on both the front and the back. So I have to go back tomorrow, or at least call them and see what they say. But yeah, that's where I stand at the moment. I did buy some front brakes for this car, and I was going to tackle that. But at this point, since I have to go back to Bell Tire tomorrow to get those tires fixed, hopefully, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave the brake job for tomorrow. So. And bring my wife's SUV in, because that rain is getting pretty bad. So yeah, let's come back to this tomorrow, and we'll see what Bell Tire does. So I called Bell Tire in the morning. They got me in at 1 o'clock. Just came back, and yeah, they flipped them around. And I was watching the tech work on the car. And I was watching to see if they were going to balance the wheel, and sure enough, maybe he thought I wasn't going to pay attention to that, or I didn't know better, but yeah, he flipped the tire around and threw it back on the car. So I mentioned something, and luckily they said something to the tech, and he balanced the tires again, or the two wheels I should say. And yeah, I don't think I'll be going back to Bell Tire, or at least not that one. But I'm happy I got these tires installed because it's so much quieter. It feels so much smoother while driving it. And yeah, I'm happy. All right, my next to-do for today with this car is going to be replacing the front brakes. From what I can see, that front rotor looks okay. And just like most of the items I've been working on this car, I wouldn't be surprised if those brakes are even the original ones. But yeah, I'm gonna replace the front, and since the rear is drums, I'm gonna just inspect those, and hopefully it doesn't need anything. All right, so I got the car up on jack stands. Quick inspection. So left to right, tight, up and down, or in and out, tight. Same thing. A little bit of play, in and out. So that's tight. So I already poked at this, and it's the inner tie rod from what I can see. So I will have to replace that. I'm not sure if I'm going to do both or just one. More than likely I'll do both, but that's on the list to do. All right, let's just keep going. I'm going to start with the driver's side. So let me take that wheel off, and then we'll see what that looks like. All right, so let's take this wheel off. I already removed the wheel lugs, and let's see what we find. It should be pretty easy to remove, just because it went to the tire shop. And they're not that bad. Okay, and like I said, the rotor doesn't look that bad. All right, so let me start working on this. Maybe taking these screws out first. See how that goes. See what happens here. First screw. Nice. All right. Caliper bolts are next. So this is a 12. Okay, there you can see the pin. And as far as material on the pads, it looks like there's a lot, but check this out. Hopefully I don't drop this caliper. Look at that. Look at that big old ridge on the end. That's why the end, or that outer very lip of the rotor, was clean, because it was getting, I guess, cleaned up by that ridge right there. They were pressing in unevenly, and look at that. There isn't much material right there. Okay, so good thing that I'm replacing these, and they don't look original. Let's see if I can see any kind of name. I don't see any name, but if I run into something, I will show you guys. So let me take this bracket off so I can take the rotor off. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. 17 mil bolt. Okay, so this little guy, I don't think is gonna do it. Try this top one. So, I'll try it without the socket. There you go. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to reach this one. There it is. There you go. Okay. And try not to drop this caliper. It was due for some brakes. Look at that. Those are some deep grooves. Wow. Hopefully you guys can see those grooves. They're pretty bad. Alright, so this is what I went with as far as a replacement for my rotor. And that's the part number. But to install that, I'm going to clean this surface up. pretty clean. I don't want to make those permanent. A little bit. So these are the pads that I chose, and this is the model of the pads. Okay, it's pretty nice. So it comes with some grease, the hardware, and the pads themselves. Look nice. Here's a bit of info on them. Alright. So I'm going to be cleaning this bracket up, but I did want to show you guys, just in case you guys are using this as a form of a how-to. On the pin side that stays on the bracket, you got these springy hardware clips, just so you guys know. And on this other side, you have nothing. You have these ones without the springy part. So I got my bolts. Again, I'm going to anti-seize. Alright, so I was just overlooking the hardware just because this inside one was kind of giving me a little trouble, but I did want to share this little hint for you guys. So on this hardware, it's got a round edge and a square edge. That round edge needs to be towards the inside or the hub or the center of the rotor. So there is a left and a right to this hardware, so again, just make sure that the round part of the hardware is towards the inside of the rotor, and you should be able to find your left and your right for the hardware. So let's see how these fit now. Okay, there's the outside. And this is the inside. And there you go. Alright, I'm gonna put the caliper back on, but I'm gonna grease this pin, so let me find some grease. There you go, some caliper grease or lube. This is high temp stuff, so I'm gonna be generous. Ooh, I almost forgot. I got to push that piston back in. So I got the caliper piston pushed back in. So if you've never done that, get yourself one of these clamps, big clamps. You go over the caliper and then find a flat spot on the back of the caliper and squeeze it closed. Once the piston bottoms out, you're good to go. It should be flat and flush like that. Alright, so then that part's done, and what I gotta do next is the sleeve. Now it does seem like it's moving freely, like it's greased, but I'm just gonna add a little more. So I'm gonna push this out. Okay, and I'm gonna grease that. Just kind of hard to show you with one hand, but yeah, could use some grease. So I'm gonna grease this and then shove it back in. And I don't think there is such a thing as too much on this part, so feel free to add as much as you want. Anti-seize. Okay, just another thing I wanted to point out to you guys. This outer control arm, the boot's ripped. It's not loose as you guys saw, but it's ripped. So something else I got to take care of. All right, so this side I'm all done. I put a little bit of anti-seize on that surface right there, so nothing sticks to the rim. I know it's an aluminum rim, but something I've done for years. And on the studs, I put a little bit of anti-seize on there just so the nut slides on that stud a little smoother. All right, I'm gonna throw this rim back on and move to the other side. I don't think I'm gonna show you guys the other side just because it's the same as this side. So yeah, let me put this rim back on. Okay guys, as I mentioned, this is all done, and I'm gonna be throwing the tire back on, but what a surprise I got for you guys. Check this out. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that, but there's something in this tire. So my guess is they threw the old valve stem inside this tire and finished the job. They didn't care about where that maybe fell into. Either way, there's something in there, and I called up Bell Tire. And again, they kind of didn't say sorry or anything like that. They just pretty much said, bring it by Monday or Tuesday and we'll take a look at it. So no apologies, no rush to get this fixed or resolved, even after me being there a second time. Now this is a third time. So I pointed that out, that this is a third time that, you know, that I have to go there. And, you know, this is ridiculous. And at that point, he kind of maybe felt pressured, and he told me to come by with the rim if it was off the car, and he'll, you know, pretty much look at it and see what's inside. So yeah, that doesn't feel like great service to me. So let me go take care of this, and hopefully I find no surprises anywhere else. But yeah, I'm going to be taking this back, and we'll see what kind of surprise we find here. So I'm back from Bell Tire, and what it was the back part of the valve stem. So when they replace these guys, they usually just pull them through, and I guess what happened was that the back part of it ripped and stayed in the tire. So I'm guessing when he had pulled it through, he heard it drop in there. To me, he looked like a brand new tech. Didn't know what to do, probably scared, and just left it in there and inflated the tire. So will I ever go back there? Would you? But in no way am I saying all Bell tires are like that or do shoddy work. I'm just saying my experience at the Huntley Bell Tire wasn't a pleasant one, just for something they should be really good at. Changing tires. I'm gonna have to check the rears for sure now, just to make sure that kid didn't do the same to the back wheels. Fronts are done. Now I'm gonna work on the rear. But yeah, time flies by. It's already nighttime. I had to, you know, stop to eat dinner, help with the family. But back on it. Now I'm going to tackle the rear and see what I find. So I already checked to see if anything felt bad. Everything sounds good. Okay, just a quick hint for all you guys with drums. The way I take these off is I'll try to run a bolt into the hole right here. Find yourself a bolt that'll thread in there and just drive it in. Just like that. So I'm going to take that off and I'll show you guys what I find. So this is what I found. Now I'm going to try to show you guys. I know the lighting isn't the best right now, but I think I'm going to have to leave this alone and tackle this tomorrow or another day, because yeah, that shoe, I think they call these, material, the stopping material, there isn't much left. So at the very bottom point of this, I mean, there's barely any left, and it starts to kind of have some at, let's see, that point. As you can see, it tapers down to nothing. So good thing is that it's all there. I've opened these up before and all of it's missing, but yeah, it definitely needs some. Again, I think these are called shoes, so could be wrong, but either way, it needs brakes back here. And I did see some markings. Check this out, 169, 155. I don't know what that means, but either way, it's got some markings on there. But look at the brakes. I mean, they look clean. Look at that. All the hardware is still pristine. Wouldn't be surprised if this is all OE. And again, the rest of this thing is just mint. Oh, I saw this. This was pretty funny. Check that out. Some kind of like little adapter, cracked weld, popcorn welding right there. And then still a Honda muffler. So what happened here, who knows? I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, this is for another day. At least I got the front done. And I'm just gonna put this back because I don't know who's gonna have this in stock. And yeah, maybe I'll tackle this tomorrow, and maybe I'll do it another day, but either way, it'll be a part of this video. And yeah, I'm just gonna throw the tire back on and get both cars in the garage again. But yeah, another day, and we'll finish this part up. Eventually I will order some brake lines. You know, those things are old, so it'd be nice to get some brake lines for the car. And as far as shocks, it does need shocks, so I'll find something. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that yet. I do want to kind of, and here's a little spoiler, I do want to kind of give it a drop, but we'll see. I might not do that. Yeah, I'm going to put this back together, and we'll see each other again with some brakes for the rear. So I'll be back, guys. So as you guys can see, we have daylight. So day 2 working on this thing. I got the rear brakes, Napa, and this is the part number. Those are the new ones right there. And I already did the driver's side, and honestly, this is, I think, my second set of shoes that I've ever done on a car. So I'm not the fastest and I'm not the best at it, but I came up with my own little method I'm going to share just in case anybody wants a hint on how to do it yourself. I felt like I needed another person to kind of help me with the springs and you know, putting it all back together. Taking it all apart is easy, putting it back together is the tough part, at least for me. So yeah, let's work on this thing. Again, I got brakes already. I picked them up at Napa, and I also got the hardware, but I'm not going to use it because the hardware that's on the car is clean and nothing broke. On the driver's side, it did need a cylinder. It was leaking pretty bad, so I picked up two. I'm just going to replace both sides. So let's start working on this. Let me take the tire off, and we'll go from there. All right, so I got the rim off, and again, if you want to take these off, or the drum off, to put two threaded holes in the drum, find a bolt, drive it in, and if you can do one in each hole, that's best because you can go out evenly, just like that. All right, got the drum off, and as you can see, this cylinder is leaking too. Slightly wet there, but you know, all these drums are kind of the same, I believe, at least the ones that I've ran into. So you got one spring on the top keeping it together, your adjuster, your locker for the adjuster, and there's usually two pins, one on each side with a locker for it, a sprung locker, okay, and you got one on the bottom, a little spring keeping the bottom half together. And here's a spring for that locker tab for your adjuster. This is not going to be like a super detailed how-to, but I'll just give you guys the, you know, what I believe are the big tips here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this adjuster spring out. I use side cutters. I hold onto the spring and just take it off. I'm going to try to show you guys. And whatever I'm taking off, I put or lay on the ground kind of where it belongs, just so I don't lose track of anything where it belongs or whatnot. Because again, this is something new to me still, and I'm not the best at it. Okay, so the spring is out, and that little locking arm I was talking about, that goes behind the adjuster arm, as you can see right there. So you just lift, and it comes out of this hole, and it's got a little pin that goes in that hole. Okay, so I'm going to lay that out there. Okay, so my next step is going to be removing this bottom small spring. Now, as you can see, the spring is orientated a certain way, and you're going to want to put that back exactly the same way. So behind this tab, and the hooks are facing a certain way on both ends, and again, you want to put that back the same way you found it. I'm going to try to show you guys what this looks like removing it. Okay, there you go. Now, I did notice I created that, so I am going to have to use my hardware package. I'm sure it'll be fine if I threw it back in, but I already have some new stuff here, so might as well just throw it in. Okay, so my next step is going to be removing these pins, and they hold the shoe in place. They got one on each side. Those are pretty easy to take off. So what you got to do is push forward on this little like spring holder as you turn the pin in the center. I'm doing the back one first so I can show you guys maybe a better view. So I got my hand on the back of the pin. I'm going to push the top of the spring clip forward. That'll happen. So I'm going to push the top half of the clip spring forward, line it up with the notch, and then you can slowly release it. And here's the pin. Here's the clip. So what you were doing was squeezing the clip together, and then when you had some room to rotate the pin, you're just walking it out. So I'm gonna do the other one, and then I'll come back. So I got both of the pins out. Now we're gonna close this, or retract the adjuster back together. I'm gonna go through one of these holes, and yeah, just close the adjuster all the way through. And once you bottom out this little star on the other half here, there should be some play. Alright, as you can see, I closed up the gap. There's no more thread showing on the adjuster. And you should have a lot more play. It should look a lot sloppier in there. What I'm going to do next is kind of cheating a little bit, and only because I'm going to be replacing the cylinder here. So what I'm going to do is maybe try to take off the top half. Like that. And here's your adjuster. The other half was on the shoe, but this comes off, so it's no big deal. You can just pop it back on. I'm going to clean this, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So just so you guys know, this arm needs to be removed. It's the e-brake arm, and it's got a little pin with a locking, I don't know what you'd call that, clip, and a washer underneath the clip. Get yourself some channel locks, grab onto the pin, and on the back grab onto the little clip, and you should be able to push like half away. The other half, take a screwdriver, and this might go flying, just so you know, so try to pay attention to where it goes. And yeah, try to push it off. Or if you can bite it with something, and take it off that way, it's probably your best bet. But this little guy is tough. As you can see, it walked back. But I'm just gonna push it forward again, try to hold it. There we go, and that took it off. So again, you got this little spring washer behind it, and then this arm just falls off, and there's the pin. This comes right out. Something I wanted to show you guys. So this pin goes through this hole, but it doesn't fit in mine. So what I'm going to do is just open that up a little bit with a drill bit. Alright, so I cleaned it up a little bit of brake clean. Looks really good. But again, I'm replacing the cylinder. If you guys are just replacing the shoes, skip this step. It's just 2 10 mils in the back and the line. Okay, brake line wrench. There's the line. Just want to get it loose. Okay, I'll show you guys the easy one. This is an easy one to get to. Okay, so the other one is just on the other side, but that one takes just a little bit more effort. You can't get a socket on it. You got to use an open end wrench, so I'll be right back. New cylinder. So I got the line back in with the 2 10 mils. I didn't show you guys that process, but you know, you guys saw me breaking the line loose and taking that 1 10 mil out, and it's just reverse placing this back in. It's no biggie. So you guys saw the most important part, and once you loosen those 2 bolts and take the line off, this just pulls off. Put the other one in place and reattach everything. I am gonna have to bleed this. I'm gonna use vacuum pumps to bleed that line. I did it to the other side, and I've used this method before and it works just fine. But yeah, let's just keep going with this brake job. Next step I'm gonna take is cleaning that up, so let me do that next. The adjuster, as I mentioned, this comes right off. So all you have to do is wipe this off, And then if you remember, I closed this up all the way, so you gotta unthread this guy. I'm just gonna put a little bit of anti-seize on the threads. I'm gonna wipe whatever's on there off. A little bit of anti-seize on the threads. A little goes a long way. Thread that back all the way in. And on the other half, a little bit of high temp grease is what I'm going to use. And that's it. And of course, wipe this thing down. If you notice that it maybe needs more, add some more. I'm going to leave it be. So there you go. Let's go pop this guy in. Okay, so next step for me is installing the emergency brake lever on the shoe. So if you remember, we made one of the holes a little bit bigger for the pin to fit through. Okay, so we're gonna put the pin in place. Lever goes like so. The washer, it's got a little bit of a shape to it, so I like to have it that way. I believe it was on that way too. And if you notice that the gloves are a little messed up, are not on my hands all the way. I picked some up from Walmart and they were larges, and man, these things are almost like small, so that's how small they are. You gotta get the biggest ones next time. But here's that clip. Now sometimes you bend these, and you can usually bend them back, put it on the ground, take a hammer, and I'll flatten that thing out. And yeah, this is the fun part, putting it back together. So what I try to do is push that washer all the way forward and try to help me expose the notch that's in that pin. Okay, and then what I try to do is kind of get it started with my fingers. I know that sounds like an impossible task, but you can kind of get it going like that. And this is going to be really hard for me to show you. It's going to want to keep falling out, but basically hold on to the pin, hold on to the little clip, and squeeze it together. So I'll try to show you guys. And there it is. It's not on all the way, but you get the idea. There you go, it's on. Alright, so my next step is going to be applying a little bit of anti-seize on these contact points on the back plate. So I believe there's six of them. There's 1, 2, 3 on each side, I believe. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. So a little bit anti-seize on those. And again, a little goes a long way. And then same with the other side. That's what that looks like. So what I'm going to do next is kind of put it all back together as far as the adjuster and the two shoes. Now again, I'm not the best at this, so I don't know all the little tricks someone would pick up after doing this many times, but this is the way I did it. Okay, I'm about to put this adjuster on so that long leg goes towards the outside. And here's the other shoe, and of course, self-explanatory, the adjuster goes in that notch. Okay, so this is where it starts to become real difficult. It all wants to kind of fall apart. So what I did was I used this big zip tie to hold it all in place for me. So let me get on that. I'm gonna do that off camera because I'm not the smoothest at that, and you'll just see me fumble for a little bit, but I'll show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so that's what that looks like right there. That big zip tie holding it all together for me. None of the springs are in. It's just kind of all held by that zip tie, and this makes it so much easier, at least for me. I'm able to apply all the springs this way without it kind of falling apart each time. So I believe I started with the hardest one, which is the top one. So let me install that. And I'm not sure if you guys remember, but the small little leg goes towards the left. There's a little hole that it went into, and it goes to the other side. So this takes a couple of tries, at least for me, because again, I'm not the best. Okay. So we got the spring in, and I'm sure you noticed I took the zip tie off, and that's because that spring will keep it all together. I don't have the bottom spring in yet, but my next step is to put these keepers in place. So let me do one. Okay, pop through the hole. There's the pin. The circle part of the clip goes in first. Try not to bump the camera too much for you guys, but hard to show you. Push the clip in forward. Rotate the pin from the back, and there's one. Okay, there's the second spring clip holder. That's the first one we did. All right, so my next step is installing my locker for the mechanism, the adjuster mechanism. So that goes into this hole here. That one's straight ahead right there. So that goes in there. I'm going to try to show you guys. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but it goes into the back of the adjuster. It's kind of hard to show you guys. I'll be right back. I'm going to put that on. Alright, so I got that in. What I had to do was just hit the adjuster a little bit. So I put the end of the screwdriver on there, and then bumped the screwdriver, and that locking arm fell into place. So as you can see, that little arm goes inside the adjuster arm, and then the other part hits the little star. Okay, sorry for using the incorrect terminology, but I'm trying to show you guys what I'm doing. So I got that in. I gotta install the spring for that, so the spring catches on the lever at that point, and it gets clipped into this hole. Okay, here we go. And there's that. Okay, so I got one more spring to install, but I want to show you what this looks like. So again, it catches that little mechanism, or that little lever on the side there, and then it goes down to that hole. Okay, so she's looking more and more complete. Again, I got one more spring right there, and that's the one that I don't know, for whatever reason, this end of the spring looks a little deformed now. So I'm going to open up that package and find this guy. I'll be right back. Found the spring. Be careful when you do this, guys. This this little guy's tough, or any of these springs are tough. Yeah, if they accidentally release, these things go flying pretty fast. You don't want it to hit you in the face or something. And there we go. Hooked it. It's not in all the way, but I'm gonna try to squeeze this into the hole now. And there it is. And that's what that looks like. The spring goes underneath that plate and is hooked on the correct way. Okay, so now you're gonna have to adjust the adjuster. And the way I did it was just kind of pry against the caliper, and you're gonna hear it click on that lever. So there's 4. I think I did like 20 clicks. Tried the I put the drum on, see how it felt. And what you want to do is be able to put the drum on, rotate it, and just have a slight little drag on the drum. And that's how I've done it on Hondas, and it's worked for me. So if you have a different way, you know, write it in the comments. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna adjust this, get it to a point where it drags on the drum, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like. So I got it to start to drag on the drum, and I just wanted to show you an example. All right, so you want it to get about there, at least in my experience, then you should be okay. So you're gonna see these spacers, and that's only because these are closed end nuts, and they won't push on the drum by themselves. So I'm using that as a spacer to kind of push on the drum. I'm gonna take these off and then put the rim on it, so I'll be right back. Wheel is back on. So this car has brakes and tires. I'm so happy I did the brakes and that I got tires. I am no pro, but I'm proud of myself because, like I said, that's probably like the second time I've done drum brakes. But this car is coming along. So what I believe I'm going to tackle next, and only because I already have the parts, is the front end components. As you guys saw, this side here, inner tie rod was loose, so I'm going to be replacing both inner tie rods and outer. But yeah, I'm going to be tackling the front, and again, only because I already have the items on hand. But yeah, the car is coming along, and I hope you guys appreciate the video, because it takes a lot of work to do this, and I enjoy you guys, you know, being a part of the channel, and we can both learn from each other. So yeah, guys, more to come. But yeah, guys, if you have any comments, don't hesitate to ask. And if you enjoyed the video, again, hit that like button, and we'll see each other on the next one. All right, have a good night, guys.
It's gonna get you.